Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to RAMBOMANIA. I'm your host, Matt, aka Coon, and welcome to the follow-up segment of tonight's broadcast of Rambo Year 1 Revisited. So, that was you just heard the rerun from last month's premiere worldwide review of Wallace Lee's Rambo Year 1 on Studio Redband. In a few moments, we're going to dive into the spoiler-filled review for this prequel. But first, the ghostwriter himself has submitted a brief Q&A on what to expect for the future installments of his Rambo saga. So without further ado, let's do it. I sent Wallace a questionnaire, very simple, just questions on what to expect from the next installments. And he wrote back saying, Matt, your questions were too similar. I changed them a bit. So let's see what Wallace has sent us here. And we're going to delve into question number 1. What can fans of Year 1 expect from the upcoming second installment in this new incarnation of the franchise? Wallace writes, the second book is mostly centered on the Baker team's training in Fort Bragg. There's a common misconception regarding the fact that Rambo is born Rambo. That's not the way it works, not in the real world. It takes years of both body and mind training, workout to become a special forces soldier. And I explained that in the process in detail inside that second volume of my saga. You know, I spent years reading about the subject, and it's very interesting. It is very interesting, Wallace. He goes on to say, try to think about the normal life. You have ever seen a sticker or anything, don't talk to the driver. Normal people, normal in quotation, people make mistakes and are disturbed and distracted by almost everything. But a special forces soldier spends years training to ignore everything. Fatigue, pain, fear, and loss, or remorse. They can tune that out. So this is something that you don't achieve in a couple of weeks, and it changes you for good. Because at the end of such brainwash, you are not the same person anymore. And when you get to a certain level, you continue both working and studying military tactics for all your life, which is very true. A lot of people, who've seen that war lifestyle or that military lifestyle come back completely changed. Some of them don't even get the chance to fight, and when they come back here, they're still itchy finger, as in the Jack Reacher book and movie suggested, that they actually go out and do these horrible things. It definitely changes you, either for the better or for the worse, but it does change you. In the second volume of my saga, he goes on to say, the Baker team guys change themselves as Troutman teaches them to do, and they change for good. At the end of the book, there is a first Baker's team mission in Vietnam, which is pure adrenaline and chaos. Despite the 2 years of training, the baptism of fire is so difficult that some of them will start thinking they will never survive to a whole year of missions. Usually the SOG teams made 6 out of 10 of them in 1 year made it through. A nice Rocky Balboa quote in there too. Question number 2. You wrote 5 books. Really? What about the next volumes? Wallace writes, they are currently under editing work. But yes, my saga is over. The thing is that I work a lot on my own novels after I have completed them. I want them to be perfect. I can totally understand that, especially in the way that Wallace has brought this upon himself, because even though he's writing 5 volumes, it's more like he's writing 10, because he has to go back and eventually translate them all to English. So that really shows you how much love Wallace has for the subject matter and the character in the franchise. Question number 3. Can you give us something without spoiling too much? So Wallace writes, sure, After the first mission, the higher ranks judge the Baker team's performance so outstanding that they turned them into instructors for the South Vietnamese Special Forces. Troutman's importance inside the Central Command Vietnam, the MAC-5, escalate, and so does his power in the Army. There is kind of pause to it, and the Baker team members write home, and their lives go on. I wonder if we'll see elements. This is just my theory, but I'm wondering if Wallace will shed some elements as to the Straw Blonde from David Morrell's series, Rambo's fiance back at home. I wonder if he'll be going into that. I'm going to have to ask him that question, because I really like that setup for this, because, it shows you behind the scenes, that people have lives behind the scenes. We tend to look at these people as expendable way too much. But if you could see the drive at home behind why they do what they do is something very important. It keeps it's maybe one of the only things that keep these people alive through what they're going through. He goes on to write, but it's just a pause because they are in standby mode, and the call for a new mission finally comes. This mission is so important that Troutman needs his best men, and he is ready to risk them. The following mission, Point of No Return, is very long and features the most violent fights of the whole saga. All of my works, this is the most similar to Rambo 2, or the sequel, Rambo First Blood Part 2. In the following book, the third one, Take Me to the Devil, it deals with the consequence of this second mission and features another two others. So during the third book, many of the main characters of the Baker team, Troutman, Danforth, Rambo, and Rambo's best friend, Manuel Ortega, have very deep interchanges. Question number 4. And so we go to the end, or we get to the end. Can you tell us something about the last book? Well, Wallace writes, it should be top secret, but we all know how this is going to end, isn't it? So let me see what I can say. The last book is set 1 year after the previous one, and the whole Baker team have signed on for another tour of duty in Nam. Some characters have married their former girlfriends, some others had children. It's 1971, and the war is getting very bad. Troutman has lost his personal war to change the way the U.S. is fighting, and now everyone is just trying to survive. When then the Baker team is sent out for a very important mission that could shift the next peace talks with the Viet Cong. The last mission is very long, almost the whole book. What can I say? Do you remember the prologue of year 1 with that haunting torture scene? That is my favorite scene out of the book. It's a beautifully horrific scene. Wallace goes on to write, the difference is that this time it happens to characters you have read about for 4 whole novels. And that scene is 100 pages long. Imagine that. That is going to be breathtaking, because we've endured so much with these characters as we go, as we have traveled. He goes on to write, Wallace goes on to write, you know who those characters are and where they are from, who is waiting for them at home, and yet they are tortured like guinea pigs by North Vietnamese soldiers, desperate to win a war against a rich and more powerful country like the U.S. My saga ends with some short novels regarding those who survived. Troutman stayed in Vietnam until the fall of Saigon 4 years later, which is why he and Rambo lose each other. This is a short tale in particular, and it's very touching because after so many U.S. deaths and so many friends lost, Troutman has things about suicide going on. Delmore Berry has honorably been discharged and went on living in Hope, Washington with his wife and children. Rambo tried to make himself a new life as a Special Forces instructor, but things didn't work out. The last short tale of the book features Rambo receiving a handmade knife by a stranger just because Rambo is homeless, Medal of Honor recipient. And that, I just want to add, is a breathtaking short story. I've gotten to read it, and it's breathtaking. It delves into the mythos of the Lyle knives. Very, very awesome. I think if you email Wallace, maybe he'll even send it to you. I remember he sent it to me right after he wrote the first draft, and in that first draft you can see the power and the presence behind it all, really, honestly. So maybe you want to hit him up, and maybe he'll send that to you. So that's all Wallace goes on to write. I really hope year one will be successful in the U.S., because translating all of my saga is huge work that will take years. I can't do it for nothing. I am fine with free sharing everything, but only if people read it. So everything depends on readers and, of course, on David Morrell. Anyway, I don't think we will have any problems in authorizing the books for free share too. I owe him really a lot, and I will never be able to thank him enough for having me free share year one. So there you have it. There you have it. Our brief Q&A with Wallace Lee regarding his amazing, masterful works on this Rambo prequel. And when we come back, we will be taking a look at Wallace was so kind as to let us give a spoiler review. So for the past, since the book's debut, I wanted to keep it simple. I didn't want to spoil it too much. I had to actually do a retraction on the original versions of the trailer for that Studio One expose and the Studio One worldwide premiere version of it. Which you have all seen the reformatted version just previous to this video. So in our next video, we're going to actually delve into the spoiler side of year one for all those people who haven't read it, or maybe they're blind and they can't they can't read it, but they want to read it because it's not in Braille. Unfortunately, it's only online for the moment. So this will give them a little bit of something to look forward to, and maybe they can get a friend to read them the book, hopefully. So when we come back, we're going to look at that. And I want to thank everybody, for going down this long road with us. That is RAMBOMANIA. I'm Matt, a.k.a. Coon, for RAMBOMANIA. We would be nothing without you. Seriously, thank you all for watching. And we'll be back with the long-awaited spoiler review of Wallace Lee's Rambo, Year 1. Thank you very much. Peace.